Good evening and welcome to Channel 36, WeHo West Hollywood. And my name is Lorraine Stewart and welcome to Between Takes. Tonight we have a very interesting gentleman, extraordinary, I will use that word. And we'll start the evening off by talking on my left to Brian Keith Thompson.
Hello.
It's wonderful having you here tonight.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. And like I told him earlier, I went into a shop on Melrose and I was mesmerized by his shop, his personnel, the vibes, everything was just so fabulous. And I couldn't stop talking about it. And then I wanted to find out the owner, and that's how I met Brian, and we talked, and I have him on the show tonight. And how long have you been in the business, Brian?
13 years.
13 years.
This July 1st will be my 13th anniversary.
Okay. And you mentioned you got into it by accident?
I did. I started getting tattooed at Body Electric once, about a year out of prison. I'd been out for about a year. I wanted to cover up some of my pre-existing mistakes, you know, kind of like gang member tattoos.
Oh yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit later on too.
But yeah, I started getting tattooed, and 5 years later it came up for sale, and one of the tattoo artists asked if I would join him and be a partner, like a silent partner, and I said yes, and I was excited about it because I love the studio. Love the name, love the location.
Oh, Body Electric is great.
It's a great name, yeah.
It is.
It really was.
Yeah.
If I didn't get anything out of it except for that name, it was worth it for me.
Yeah, yeah.
And
it's magnetic.
It is.
Like
It
you
rolls
go
off the
into the
tongue well.
shop and it's great music and everything. And when I went in, there were a line of people.
Yeah.
Line of people. I
Yeah.
couldn't get over that.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It wasn't always like that. It took years and years
Good
of
business,
work.
good
Yes,
business
yes.
and everything.
Yeah, it wasn't like that when I started. There was no people.
Well, it takes a lot of work. But, you know, I was interested in tattooing, piercing. People have a lot of questions. And I did ask him about, you know, who gets tattooed more, women or men? And he said the women.
For my studio.
From his studio.
Yeah, it's about.
Well, yeah, because we're only interested in your studio. Yeah.
Yeah, my studio, tattooing I'd say about 75% female. For piercing, it's about 95% female.
Okay. And the women for the tattooing, do most of them get the daintier ones or the larger ones, more or
Right
less?
now, tattooing is more smaller pieces.
Smaller
The
pieces?
big giant stuff. I mean, there's a little bit out there, but right now it's not trendy. What people are mainly collecting are smaller, intricate, very fine line tattoos.
Okay. It's like clothing. You go with the trend and the fads, right?
Yeah,
All the time?
and that's not always a good idea though for tattooing, because fad and trend will end.
Right.
And a tattoo is a marriage. You're married to that.
You're
And
married. But I did ask him, I said, suppose someone changes their mind and they get a tattoo and they say, I don't like it.
Well,
I'm not happy with it. What do you do then?
well, you want your clients to be happy. I mean, that's not a good business model. Tattooing people something permanent and them not being completely content on what it is.
Right.
So I make sure the tattoo artists that work with me are proficient, really good at what they do, and customer oriented. They want to engage with the client to make sure both of them are happy. The tattoo artists are independent contractors, so. You're working with a tattoo artist in my shop. You're working with an individual. I'm really not involved in that process.
How do you interview, I didn't ask you this before, how do you interview someone who wants to work with you and do the tattooing? What are the prerequisites, I would say?
Tattooing, I want someone with at least 8 to 10 years experience minimum. I would like more. 15 is great. But 8 to 10 before I'll even really talk to you. Because my studio has such a reputation and my clients depend on me to make sure I'm putting great tattoo artists in that space.
Of course.
They're trusting me. So there's a lot of trust there. And if I violate their trust by just throwing some willy-nilly tattoo artist that doesn't really care about anything more than just making money, that's going to ultimately affect my bottom line later on, because people are going to know that, hey, don't go there. he just puts whomever. But if they know, I would rather have 2 tattoo artists that are great
Right.
than
Right.
15 that are so-so.
Right. Okay.
Because your name is all you have, really, at the end of the day. And if your clients can trust you, you will make money year after year after year. If you violate that trust, it is sooner or later you're going to be out of business.
It's like a woman going in for face surgery. Hey, you got to trust that doctor.
Well, you should.
That's it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because that's your body or your
It's your
face.
face,
That's
yeah,
your face,
exactly.
definitely.
So it's a moral obligation that these people getting permanent tattoos, that they have a positive experience.
Can I ask you, are they heavy on
They
your
are.
earlobes?
They are. I like them heavy. I can't wear something light. I like to feel the weight.
Aren't you? You're careful that you don't get them caught on anything.
Yeah, it really doesn't happen often. I've caught them on my car door a couple times, like banged it, but I'm pretty careful now. They're part of me now, so I had a dream the other night that they got sewed up in my sleep, and I was so angry. I was looking for the person that did it.
Oh my!
Weird nightmare.
Oh my God! What a nightmare that was.
It's like my Hercules. It's my power lies in here.
Do you have many people coming in and looking and say, "Hey, I'm interested in that"?
I don't do this as much anymore. This is not something that's very popular anymore, stretching of the earlobes.
I've seen people that stretch with different things in their ears. And
in the early 2000s, it was much more popular.
Okay. That must be very painful.
It was. More so to my mom. It hurt her quite terribly.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
And
she cried.
And the top?
The top was punched out with a biopsy punch.
What's a biopsy punch?
Used to take, like your dermatologist, if they want to biopsy something on your body.
Ah, they do that?
Yeah, so I use that, and it's a hole straight through my ear.
Okay. You're creating something. You're an artist.
I'm not really an artist. I'm more of a glorified decorator. A tattoo artist is an artist. They are taking something and creating it. And
That's true, but you pierce. I would think when you pierce...
I'm like an interior decorator. I just know where to put the chair in the room,
Okay.
I didn't make the chair. I just know where to put it.
Uh-huh.
So that's
a big job.
That is a big job. It takes talent. Not everybody can do that. So I don't consider myself an artist. I'm not creating something out of nothing. I'm just taking something that someone else created and knowing exactly and how to put it in the perfect spot.
You have the right techniques.
The right eye for it.
The right eye.
It's something I've always had. So that's what made me a good piercer, is that I had that instinct. I knew how to design the ear. I just knew that's where my forte is. I'm good at designing the ears.
Okay, now tell me something about Neiman Marcus.
Yeah, I did events with them.
Okay.
It was a lot of fun. I was very impressed.
He did society. He did all of that. Yeah. He does celebrities. We're not mentioning any names, but he did that. So that's good. The stores are good, and you'll probably do more with them and everything.
Yes, I definitely want to do more.
You're working on
Beverly
some more?
Hills. Yeah, with the Beverly Hills Neiman Marcus.
Very good.
It's one of my favorite stores.
Oh.
I actually shop in that store. I love that store.
Doesn't like that store.
Yes,
I'm
it's
telling
amazing.
You, it's fabulous.
I love it. Yeah.
It's electrifying.
It is. It is.
Anyhow, this gentleman has a background. I told him he has to get someone to write a script. You would never believe. He told me the story, and I looked at him, and I said, "What?" My mouth just dropped. But like he said, it's the inner strength. It's what you want out of life. We all make mistakes. We all do. Some survive, and some don't.
Mm-hmm.
It all depends what you want to make out of your life. And he made his life, like I said in the beginning, extraordinary. He told me he was in jail, and he was up for...
Charged with murder.
Charged with murder. The
First
death
degree.
penalty.
With special circumstances, it's called.
And he got himself out of that, and he belonged with gang members, and look what he did with his life.
Yeah. A lot of, I have to say a lot had to do with when I was charged with these, heinous acts. And at 26, it's a lot to wrap your head around. I was still a young boy at 26. You're
26,
you're still, you're still figuring yourself out. I'd just been released from the Marine Corps. I got out of the Marine Corps at 23, and I got wrapped up in this, and I was very lucky to have such a gracious DA and a really fair judge. They both of them really believed in me at the end of the day that I didn't do this, and I was very fortunate for that. And I went to prison, took a deal finally, went to prison, and it changed me fundamentally because I realized that I got depressed when I got to prison. It was a very depressing place to be because I felt like I was such a scumbag. I was such a waste to society that they needed to lock me away from them. And it really affected me mentally. And I promised myself that I would never put myself in a position like that again. And that I would get out and prove to the world that I was not a scumbag, that I could do something with my life, that I could be a part of society and not be a danger to them. And I just slowly started working when I was released. The day I was released from prison, they give you $200.
They give you $200?
$200. They give you $200 cash, and it's called gate money. And they line you up at this gate, and it's the first time I've had like real clothes on in a long time, and the gate buzzes open. It's like,
how did you
tower.
feel?
Oh, I felt.
Oh my
I was like so anxious, for that door to open, that gate, and it buzzes and it starts to roll open, and there's a tower right above us, and one of the guards looks out of the tower and he goes, "I'll see you a-holes next month." And I looked up, and I said,
What
"No."
did you say?
I said, "No, sir, you will never see me again." And he laughed and goes, "Yeah, right."
Yeah.
And I walked out of that prison, and I told myself, I'm not looking back. I'm not going to look back. I'm going to move forward. It's like if you get into your car and you stare at the rearview mirror, you're going to crash.
That's
The rearview mirror's there to glance up every once in a while to see what's in back of you, but it's not there to focus.
That's right.
Focus, look out the windshield, stare down the road, look for the hazards coming your way. What's behind you, you've already passed. It's not that big of a deal. And I promised myself, so I walked out. My father was waiting for me. He gave me I don't even think he gave me a hug. I think he shook my hand. We got into his rental car, and we got out of there, and we were driving. He asked me, he's like, "You're not going to look?" And I said, "No, I'm going to look right here." I just focused right out the
How
windshield.
did your parents feel when you went into prison?
Oh, they were very, very disappointed. I mean, that's a great.
But you gained their trust later on?
I did.
Okay.
But trust is something, like we talked about in business, trust is something that is earned. It's not just given. You have to earn trust. Trust is something that takes time, and it's like a foundation of your home. If it's built right and solid and with care by professionals, it's going to last for your lifetime. But if it's not, you're in a lot of trouble.
Such an amazing outlook. Amazing.
Well, we're the masters of our
Like I said, we're our own directors.
Yes, we
right?
are.
We
are.
could say yeah or nay.
And at the end of the day, if your life didn't turn out the way you want it, it's your fault. It's no one else's.
Yeah, don't blame anyone else. Sometimes we have a tendency to say, "Oh, no, why did this person do it? No, it's not my fault. It's the other person, That's wrong."
But that's what I did. I blamed myself. So when I went to prison, in prison there's a joke that, it's everyone's innocent. And everyone blames their attorney or the system. And yes, sometimes there are people out there that get railroaded, and there is... we see it all the time. I mean,
with the system, I know you see it.
It's not perfect.
No,
I'm not sitting here and say the system's perfect. It's not, but it is a good system, and it worked for me. And I believe in the justice system. I didn't commit a murder, but I shouldn't have been in that situation, and I blamed myself. Like the day I was arraigned on the charges, the first day I was arraigned with the death penalty, they marched me into the elevator, and I'm shackled to my waist, and I remember looking down at my feet, and I was thinking about how I was going to kill myself. I was going to try to do it that night.
How?
I was gonna wrap a bed sheet around my neck or
I
figure out some way. Yeah, I was just in my head, and there was a deputy standing right where you were, and the doors of the elevator right there. And I don't remember his name. I wish I could have. He was a sheriff's deputy, and he had salt and pepper hair, wire rimmed glasses. Looked like a dad, like a cool dad. Probably in his 50s at the time. And he hits me in the chest. He goes, "Hey, you're going to beat this. I see these cases all the time, but I want you to remember one thing. Friends are like buttons in this elevator. Some will take you up, some will take you down." You know what he gave me right there?
What?
A little bit of hope. He saw...
That's unusual. That
It
was
is
good.
unusual.
That was
He
good.
helped me because he saw the hopelessness in me. And when you have the absence of hope, that's when really bad things happen.
Right,
But
right.
human beings, if you give us even a grain, a salt grain of hope, the tiniest little amount, we can move mountains with that.
You could do that.
Yeah, so he gave me hope, and it really changed my outlook on my case and my life, and I decided to change right then and there in jail. I decided to stop running with the gang members. I decided to make it hard on myself. And in the 90s, LA County Jail, being white, it was a very dangerous place. I had to eat my food on the floor for about 3 months. White people couldn't sit at a table.
Oh my God.
But I did it. And I did my time, and I earned it, and I paid my debt to society, and no one owes me anything, and I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. I chose my path. No one put me in that car. No one told, I was there, I was there, and I shouldn't have been there. And if I would have been smart, I wouldn't have been there.
How old were you when you got involved with the gang members?
16. Yeah, 1988.
Did you leave school or run away from school? Or?
I ran away from my father's house, and I grew up with this Mexican family, and they took me in, and I slept on the floor in their living room, and the two brothers were from a gang, so
That's how you got involved.
Yeah, and I really liked it. I'm not saying it was all bad. It was, we had a lot of good times, and I had some really great friends, and I lost some really great people, and I don't regret being in that at all, ever, because it was part of what made me who I am today. Without that, I wouldn't be here. That's
right.
how I found Body Electric. So if I wouldn't have been running around with the gangsters and ended up in a garage in Reseda getting, homemade tattoos, I wouldn't, and then end up going to prison, I wouldn't have gotten out and wanted to cover tattoos and found this place, and it just all kind of...
I told him timing.
Timing is everything.
Timing is everything in
yes.
life.
Sometimes that dark path you're walking down is not going to lead you to darkness.
That's
if you're smart, that dark path can help train you to make you even better, so when you get off that path, you're unstoppable. When that gate opened in prison and they let me out, I was unstoppable. I had just been
fresh air.
I had been just released from a cage. Now I was ready to work. I was ready to prove to myself that I could do anything. And everybody said that I would violate on parole, because everyone does. Prison has about an 88% recidivism rate. So you have an almost a 90% chance of going back to prison if you've been there, and especially on parole. And I didn't do it. I kept moving straight ahead. Never felt sorry for myself. I didn't want to do that, because I put myself there. So I needed to own this, and this was my path and my trials and tribulations that I needed to go through.
Movie Body Electric. Oh my goodness. Anyhow, what else do you desire to do with your business besides working more with the stores? Anything else
question.
far above that?
Yeah.
Can you tell us something about
Yes,
that?
I want to start traveling and doing like pop-ups, like little tours, because I have a lot of fans and people want to work with me, but they can't make
Like
it out.
seminars, more or less?
No, like show up in a city and do a little pop-up where I pierce for 3 days and and get to know some of my fans, the people that really are behind me and follow me, and it would be fun just to do like
You should have a fan club.
Yeah, a fan club, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. He has his publicist here, Rick, who's a great guy, and I could see that, but I'm just so enthralled with him and what he does that I'm thinking about all these things while he's talking to me. And I also ask him, who did your tattooing? His tattooing is fabulous. The colors are dynamic and everything.
Someone asked me the other day, a client asked me if I get tattooed at Body Electric, and I was like, of course not. I go down the street about the client. I was like, yes, I get tattooed at Body Electric. Come on.
What was the first tattoo that you had?
First tattoo is gone. It was on my chest. It was a smile now, cry later face, like the theater faces.
Okay. Did you just get one, or did you decide to do the whole thing?
No, I did both on my chest, and then I went back a week later and got a collar, some lettering. And then I did my last name on my back. And there's a funny story about this one. So I go into this guy. His name was Bobby. He was tattooing out of his garage in Reseda. He was out on parole, and I would go in for like $40. He would tattoo you, right? And I was a Marine at the time. This was 1992. I didn't have any money. They were paying us like $400 every 2 weeks. You don't go into the Marine Corps for riches.
That's for sure.
You go into the Marine Corps
That's what I've heard.
to run into battle with a gun, or a rifle rather. I told him I want my last name on my back in 4-inch old English letters. So he draws it out, shows it to me. I'm like, yes. He tattoos me. That Sunday I go back to Camp Pendleton. I'm in the barracks. My unit just left for Somalia. I got into a fight 2 days before leaving for Mogadishu and got hit with brass knuckles, so I couldn't deploy with them because my head was split open. So they're in Mogadishu. I'm in the barracks by myself, and there's one other Marine with me, and his name was Lynch. I'll never forget it. And I go, hey, how's it look? You know, and he goes, yeah, it looks great. It looks good. I was like, is it straight? And he goes, yeah, it's straight, but isn't there an M in your last name? And I'm like, shut the heck up. I go to the mirror and I look, and the tattoo artist left out the M.
Oh, no.
So it said Thompson.
Oh.
So I hid that for months in the Marine Corps, and then somebody got the found out that it was misspelled. So when they would put my name on the board for guard duty, they would always cross out the M. I mean, they gave me hell for that.
That's funny. Oh, yes, my God. No wonder you covered that up.
Yes, had to. Like that. Yeah. That's your last name. It was misspelled. Come on. I think one time I said to someone, what do you think, I'm an idiot? And he goes, yeah, you have your last name misspelled on your back. So, yeah, you're an idiot.
So these are... What does this signify on your leg here?
Most of them don't really signify much. I mean, this is Los Angeles, and I have the word Melrose. I have where I crossed the equator on the USS Dubuque in 1993.
Okay.
And I have my Marine Corps tattoo, or as they call it today. Yeah, they call it today a stupid stamp. I thought that was funny.
And what is that?
This is just... This is old. That's what that is.
Okay.
This is like a tribal type of tattoo. I don't know. It's very old.
Let's get into the cost of tattoos, more or less. If someone asks you, I'm curious too. I guess that depends on what you pick, the style, the size, and everything like that. What do they start with?
In my studio, they start at $120.
Okay. Is that like for a small one?
Something small, yeah. That's called a shop minimum. Every shop's going to have a minimum price.
What do you think when it started, the trend really of heavy tattooing that it is today? How long ago would you say?
Probably around 2006, 2007. It really started, maybe around 2005. Around there, it started really picking up momentum. And I mean, now it's odd to find somebody that doesn't have a tattoo.
How do you care for a tattoo when it's done? A special caring or anything?
Soap and water. Soap and water 3 times a day.
That's it?
It takes about 10 to 14 days to heal, and I've always used lotion.
I also asked him if you had children and they were interested in this business, would you let them pursue it and everything?
Yeah, I mean, I would let, if I had children, I don't want children, but if I did, yeah, I would let them do what they want to do. You know, it's not all a glory in what I do. It's a lot of hard work. It's day in, day out. And, sometimes I see 20 clients a day, and it's just one after another.
That's
after
heavy
another.
concentrating.
It
Yeah,
is.
it is.
It's a lot.
It's
a lot.
tedious.
It is. And I know when I show up at 12 o'clock that it's, at 12 o'clock every day, 5 days a week, I've got people waiting in that waiting room, and you've got to be on it. You have to go home and get rest.
That's the truth.
Yeah, you've got to really, because they're trusting you, and they've traveled to see you, and they've heard these things about you. So you have to deliver, and that's a lot of responsibility every day. That's how people lose their success, is they get successful and then they forget what made them successful, and they get lazy, or they just don't want to work as hard.
Take things for granted, too. And you can't do that, because you can have a thriving business and all of a sudden it goes down the drain.
Well, fame is fleeting, so you're not going to be famous forever, and you've got to strike while that iron's hot. One day these people aren't going to want to get pierced by me. The ship's going to set sail.
But you're a star in your own field. That's the way I feel about it,
But it's a time limit. I have a certain amount of time before someone else is going to come out here and, do it better than I do it. It happens all the time.
I can't conceive how else it could be better than what I saw. I just can't conceive that at all.
That's why I want to have fun now. I want to really. That's why I work so hard, is because these people expect something, and I need to give it to them. I want to deliver on that, and that's satisfying to me. It's to see their faces and hear them tell me that it's better than they would have expected it to be, and that's the best compliment you can give me. It makes me feel really great. To deliver like that, and to be able to change someone's life, and to make them feel, like they've wanted this for so long, and they say, I'm not cheap, so they saved up the money and they came in, and it was everything they thought it was going to be.
It was great having you on the show.
Thank you.
I was
very happy to be here. Thank you.
Very, very, very interesting. Very much so. And I want to thank Rick
Welcome.
for getting it all together and getting him here. He's had a rough day today. I know he wants to go home and get some rest. And Body Electric, folks, on Melrose. And thank you, Brian Keith Thompson.
Thank you. Pleasure.
My pleasure.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'd love to see you again.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you
very much.
And I hope you enjoyed our show. Channel 36, Between Takes in WeHo, West Hollywood. And bye. Come back again.